Hello, my lovelies. It's time for another round of Have I Read It? So stay tuned. If you're new, hi, hello, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. Have I Read It is one of my multiple TBR games that I play in order to help pick my TBR for the upcoming month. And the way this one works, you get to help pick my TBR. So I react to a haul from like 3 or 4 years ago, and I tell you if I've read the book, if I haven't read the book, if I've unhauled the book. And out of all the books that I still own that I have not read from this haul, you get to vote on which book or books that I will have to read in the upcoming month. And how many I choose is based on how many is in that list. So if I have 0 or 1 to 9 books that I have not read that I still own, then I'll have to pick the number 1 voted book. If I have 10 to 19, I'll have to pick the top 2 books, and so on and so on. So today we're going to be reacting to another June book haul. This was from June 2020, so 4 years ago. Yeah. So it looks like, I think in the thumbnail it says that I bought 14 more books. So unless I did really poorly, then I should only have to pick one, like the top voted, but we'll see. So let's just get right into it. Hey guys, it's Melanie. Welcome to my channel. Today I have my end of June book haul, so stay tuned. So I have 14 more books to haul for you for June. So I'm just going to get right into it. These all came from shopping in the store, shopping online. I don't think any of these were gifts. I don't think so. Or subscription boxes in this one. Okay, so the first book I have here is Bookish Boyfriends, A Date with Darcy by Tiffany Schmidt. Okay, I have not read this one. I do need to check and see, 1, if it's part of a series, and 2, if I still own it. Okay, I do still own this one. It is part of a series, but it is book 1 in this series. So let me click on that. So it's book 1 in the Bookish Boyfriends series. This says, boys are so much better in books, at least according to Marilee Campbell, 15, who thinks real-life chivalry is dead, and there'd be nothing more romantic than having a guy woo her like the heroes in classic stories. Then she, her best friend Eliza, and her younger sister Rory transfer to Reginald R. Hero Prep, where all the boys look like they've stepped off the pages of a romance novel. Mary can hardly walk across the quad without running into someone who reminds her of Romeo. When the brooding and complicated Monroe Stratford scales Mary's trellis in an effort to make her his, she thinks she might be Juliet incarnate. But as she works her way through her literature curriculum under the guidance of an enigmatic teacher, Mary's tale begins to unfold in ways she couldn't have imagined. Mary soon realizes that only she is in charge of her story, and it is a truth universally acknowledged that first impressions can be deceiving. So if you want me to read this, vote A Date with Darcy, because that's the name of the actual book. Bookish Boyfriends is just the series. Okay. Let me get back to the video. All right, next up. If it looks funny, I just rearranged some books because I have 2 by the same author, and that's what I'm going to show you next. So the next 2 books came from the same author, or by the same author. We have Once Upon a River and The 13th Tale by Diane Setterfield. Okay, so I have read and still own The 13th Tale. I loved that story. Once Upon a River, though, I have not read, but I'm pretty sure I still own it. I'm going to double check. I was right. So this says, solstice is a time of dreaming, a time of stories, and a time of magic. On a dark, misty night in the small English village of Radcott, locals gather at the Swan Inn to cap their day with drinks and lore. The 600-year-old pub is a famed hub for storytellers, but the patrons cannot know that their evening will be with but the patrons cannot know that their evening will be stranger than any tale they could weave. Into the inn bursts a mysterious man, sopping and bloodied and carrying an unconscious 4-year-old girl. But before he can explain who he and the child are and how they came to be injured, he collapses. Upriver, 2 families are searching desperately for their missing daughters. Alice Armstrong has been missing for 24 hours, ever since her mother's suicide, and Amelia Vaughn vanished without a trace 2 years prior. When the families learn of the lost little girl at the Swan Inn, each wonders if their child has at last been found. But identifying the child may not be as easy as it seems. Once Upon a River is a miracle of a novel, a tale of love and family, of secrets and betrayal, and of the transformative power of storytelling. So if you want me to read this, vote Once Upon a River. All right, next up. Next up, we have A Sorrow Fierce and Falling by Jessica Cluse. I don't know. I feel like I might have read this one, but I can't remember. So I think I did end up reading this, but I didn't change it in my Goodreads because I remember, okay, so I read the first book. This is actually book 3 in the series. I read the first book, and I do remember reading at least the second one, which I don't have marked read either. I'm pretty sure I actually completed this whole series. So I'm going to say yes, I did read it, and I don't know if I still own it. I feel like I've unhauled it. Like I read it and then I unhauled it, I think. I'm not going to go searching for it now because it's late and some people are in bed. So I'm just going to mark this as read and unhauled. I remember reading this series while I was painting Xander's room in our old house. All right, next up. Okay, next up we have Mine by J.L. Butler. I don't know if I still own this one or not. I have not read it though. So let me see. Okay, I do still own this one. I have not read it. This says, in this riveting tale of psychological suspense, a divorce lawyer risks her career, her sanity, and her life when she falls into an illicit, all-consuming affair with her client, who becomes the primary suspect in his estranged wife's sudden disappearance. Young divorce lawyer Francine Day has methodically built her career doing everything right. She's one big case away from securing her place among London's legal elite. But when she meets her new client, Martin Joy, the natural caution that has protected Francine and fueled her rise melts away. Powerless to fight the irresistible magnetism between them, client and counsel tumble into a blistering affair that breaks every rule. Though Martin insists his marriage is over, Francine doesn't believe him. Certain details he's told her don't quite add up. Consumed with a passion she cannot control and increasingly obsessed with Martin's relationship with his wife Donna, Francine follows the woman one night and discovers her having dinner with her supposedly soon-to-be ex-husband. The next morning, Francine awakens in her neighbor's apartment with blood on her clothes and no recollection of what transpired after she spied Donna and Martin together. Then Francine receives more devastating news. Martin's wife has vanished. That dinner was the last place anyone has seen Donna Joy alive. Suddenly, Francine finds herself caught in a dangerous labyrinth of deception, lies, and secrets, in which one false move could lead to her undoing. What happened that night and why can't Francine remember? Where is Donna and who is responsible for her disappearance? The further Francine goes to find answers, the tighter the net seems to draw around her lover, herself, and the life she's meticulously built. So if you want me to read this, vote Mine. All right, next up. Okay, next up is a graphic novel. This is Frey by Joss Wheaton, Carl Moline, and Andy Owens. I do still own Frey. I know I do. I can't remember if I read it or not, though. I don't think I have. I have not read it. It says, hundreds of years in the future, Manhattan has become a deadly slum run by mutant crime lords and disinterested cops. Stuck in the middle is a young girl who thought she had no future, but learns she has a great destiny. In a world so poisoned that it doesn't notice the monsters on its streets, how can a street kid like Frey unite a fallen city against a demonic plot to consume mankind? Joss Whedon the celebrated creator of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, brings his vision to the future in this unique tale. As inventive in the comics medium as in the television or film, Whedon spins a complex tale of a skilled thief coming of age without the help of friends or family, guided only by a demonic watcher. So if you want me to read this, vote Frey. All right, next up. Okay, so these next two books are different. They're not novels. The first one is Atlas Obscura by Joshua Foer, Dylan Thuras, and Ella Morton. Okay, so this one, I think I'm just going to mark as read and still own. It's one of those things that you don't necessarily read front to back. You flip through and just read certain parts. It's almost like a travel kind of guide. It's just different things you can do in different places. So yeah, I'm just going to mark this one as read and still own. All right, next up. Okay, next up, along those same kind of lines, we have Drives of a Lifetime, 500 of the world's most spectacular trips. Okay, so this is the same kind of thing as that last one. So again, I'm going to mark it as read and still own. All right, next up. Okay, over to these books here. So the first one we have is Flunked by Jen Kalanita, Fairy Tale Reform School. I have read Flunked and I do still own it. Next up. Okay, next up. Oh, this kind of goes along with the travel books. This is 1,000 Places to See Before You Die, a Traveler's Life List. This is another one like those. I read certain parts of it, but not necessarily from front to back. So again, I'm marking this one as read and owned. Next. Okay. Next up, and this is not a regular book either. It's more like a journal type book. This is 99 Things I Want to Do, a journal for dreams and goals. Okay, this is one I still own, and I'm just going to mark this one as read as well because it's a journal type thing. All right, next up. Okay, next up we have And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. I have read And Then There Were None, and I unhauled that one. All right, next up. Okay, next up we have Too Close by Natalie Daniels. I don't know. I haven't read Too Close. I don't know if I still own it though. Okay, I do still own this one. And this says, a haunting, edge-of-your-seat psychological thriller about a woman who has been institutionalized for a heinous crime and the psychiatrist assigned to her case who must uncover the truth beneath the madness. How close do you get before it's too late? Working as a dedicated forensic psychiatrist for many years, Emma is not shocked so easily. Then she is assigned to work with Connie, a wife and mother accused of a despicable crime. Connie is suffering from dissociative amnesia, or at least seems to be. Now it's up to Emma to decide whether Connie can stand trial for her sins. But there is something about Connie that inexplicably pulls Emma into her orbit. Perhaps it's the way she seems to see right through Emma, speaking to Emma's deepest insecurities about her life, marriage, and her own tragic past. And soon Emma begins to understand how Connie's complicated marriage and toxic relationship with her beautiful best friend Ness could have driven Connie to snap, or maybe she's simply getting too close to a woman who is unforgivable. Alternating between the two women's points of views, before and after Connie's breakdown, Too Close is a masterfully written page-turner about the powerful yet dangerous closeness between women. So if you want me to read this, vote Too Close. All right, on to the final book. And then last but not least, we have The Merciless 2 by Daniela Vega. I have not read this, but I unhauled this whole series to Xander. So yeah, that's it. Oh my goodness. Cool. Only 5 books this round. So we have A Date with Darcy, Once Upon a River, Mine by J.L. Butler, Frey by Joss Whedon, and Too Close by Natalie Daniels. So vote which book or books you would like for me to read in the upcoming month, and just comment down below and let me know. And I will pick the #1 voted book. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a big thumbs up. If you'd like to see more videos like this, click that subscribe button down below. And until next time, remember to always be completely you. Bye!